Thank you, everyone. May I respectfully invite Honorable Managing Director CRIS, Shri GVL Satyakumar sir, to kindly take the proceedings forward.
A very good morning to everyone. Yeah. To respected member operations and business development, Sri um, Manoj Singh sir, our DG RPF ma'am Sonali Mishra ma'am, Secretary sir R Mohan Raja sir, I am Lucknow Director Sri Professor MP Gupta ji, and our beloved additional member traffic Devendra Kumar sir, and all the dignitaries who have gathered here on the occasion of the 41st Foundation Day of CRIS. First of all, let me tell you that it's a matter of great privilege and deep satisfaction that I welcome all of you to celebrate this 41st Foundation Day. In any conference where I normally go, I normally start with a question where the audience is normally not non-railway. And I ask them, do you know about Indian Railways? And you guess what the answer could be? Almost around 100% of the hands would go up. At the same time, the next question which follows is, do you know what CRIS is? There's hardly almost a silence like what we find here. I mean, but let me tell you that this particular organization has been silently transforming the way Indian Railway works over the last 4 decades. In fact, Indian Railway needs no introduction. I think we all know it is the fourth largest rail system in the world with around 70,000 route kilometers, 130,000 track kilometers. We run almost around 10,000 passenger trains, 8,000 freight trains. We carry almost around 4.6 million tons of cargo every day, transport around 20 million passengers. And we carry this throughput with almost staggering 70,000 coaches, 3.5 lakh wagons, around 20,000 plus locomotives. And the employee strength is around 1.4 to 1.5 million. But just to think of how this entire gigantic network was being operated around 4 decades back. It was all about totally on manual systems before computerization started. In fact, just to take you back to 1986, there was absolutely no computerization on Indian Railway. And then came CRIS. In fact, railways were the first to introduce computers in the country for the first time in 1986 when the IBM mainframes came for the ticketing systems, and the evolution of the IT on Indian Railways started. But as you can see in this graphic here, you can find that for the first part of 2 decades, 1986 to 2006, computerization on Indian Railway was largely confined to ticketing systems and a small part of freight operations. But as we stand today, the last 2 decades, 2006 to 26, as we stand here, there is almost no function of the railway which is not digitized or automated. So much so that we almost have around 104 applications across different functions of the railway. To make sense of the number of applications we run, we categorize them into 5 main categories. Like any other business organization, the revenue generating applications like your ticketing systems, the freight operation systems, the core operations, just like the industry has the control charts and the entire process flow diagrams and monitoring systems. We have our control office mechanisms, not very dissimilar to how air traffic control operates. And to run any business, you require assets. And for us, assets, we classify them as fixed assets and the rolling assets. Fixed assets are tracks, signal traction, and the rolling assets are the coaches, wagon, locomotives. The entire asset life cycle of these assets, right from induction to the repair and maintenance cycles up to the condemnation, are all digitized and automated as we stand today. Just like any other organization, finance, HR, and procurement systems form the core backbone behind which the entire operations are carried out. We have digitized 100%. In fact, you can proudly say that there is not a single tender which is manual which goes on as on date. Entire revenue expenditure of around 3.5 lakh crore and an equivalent around 2.5 lakh crore of capital expenditure are all transacted through the IT systems. And all this is done silently by that entity called CRIS, Center for Rail Information System, which is behind the, behind the operation of these mammoth systems. So it's a real matter of pride that we have all our engineers here, and we are really honored to have the guests in front of us who have gathered here to grace the occasion, because lying in this diagram are both the strengths and weaknesses of the evolution of the IT systems. Just to reiterate, CRIS was formed in 1986 with a mandate to design, develop, deploy, maintain the entire IT applications for Indian Railways. And it has carried out this job very honorably in the last 4 decades and solved almost every problem which the railway threw at it at different points of time. Just think back and see as to how we operate. There is no L&T, there is no Infosys, there is no Wipro, there is no TCS, there is no any private IT organization. The entire software is designed, developed, deployed, maintained by our own engineers, who are around 900 plus. And this is perhaps, I mean, people keep asking at different forums as to what is the greatest strength of CRIS. And I'm very categorical. In the last, 3 years at different forums, maybe around 100 times I have been asked this question. It is not the software, it is not the infrastructure, it is not the technology, but it is the people, the engineers who carry this upgradation through. I just want to give an example of the passenger reservation system and its evolution, just for people to get an inkling as to what sort of systems we manage. In 1986, when we started computerization, it was all on discrete servers. Here you find around Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Secunderabad. The one stark thing is all these data centers or servers were not connected, they were disconnected. That means ticketing could be taken only within the local area. Suppose you wanted to take a ticket from, say, Gorakhpur for a train which is originating from Chennai and it belongs to southern region, you could not take a ticket at that point of time. And then came the entire networking of these 4 data centers, where anywhere to anywhere ticketing started somewhere in 2001. Then in a slow and a phased manner, we got web inquiry through on the internet, no internet up to 2001. Web inquiry started in around 2001, and for the best part of the next decade, it remained mostly web and then started ticketing. We started ticketing at 1500 tickets per minute. That was the rate of design in the decade 2010 to 11. Come 2014, the entire system was revamped in the last 10 years, and the ticketing rate stood at 7,200 tickets per minute. So this is the level of systems that are maintained, but the 7,200 tickets per minute was the design. Any guesses as to what rate we currently operate at the peak time? Say the ARP period or at the Tatkal period. We operate almost around 32,000 tickets per minute against a design capacity of 7,200, largely due to the brilliance of the way in which the things have been optimized by our engineers to get the maximum out of these resources. I mean, this is just to give a flavor in terms of how the legacy systems are carried, upgraded, and continually maintained by the core backbone of the engineers of CRIS. Having said that, I mean, while these systems have started around 4 decades back, they continually need to be upgraded in terms of both the hardware as well as the system software. For example, the legacy systems still contain the Fortran and the OpenVMS in some areas. The challenge between as I mentioned, the entire strength and the weakness lies in this diagram, wherein the evolution of these systems have been in a discrete manner, but don't mistake discrete to being siloed. They're totally two different things. As and when the systems have been developed, say operation systems have been developed to the extent that they required integration between the other systems that has been done, and but still there are issues of master data management, so on and so forth, which remain and are addressed as on date. So having said that, I mean, in the last 3 4 years, large scale technologies are sweeping the way in which the entire software world is is being looked at from different lenses. And Chris can't be a spectator to these changing technologies. PRS systems are being modernized as we stand today. Maybe in a month or so, we would be migrating perhaps onto the new system for the first time, which will take the ticketing from 25,000, 7,200 design, 32,000 peak to almost 1.25 lakh tickets per minute. Similarly, I mean, all the data acquisition systems, which were hitherto manual, as could be expected, taking into account the state of technologies at that point of time, most of the system data which was coming into our systems, be it our operating systems or asset management or track, they take the measurements using the gauges, record in the books, go back into the systems, type it out. All these are being changed rapidly because of sensors which are coming in a big way. So to that extent, there is a need for us to actually continually adapt dynamically and ensure that these systems are assimilated into in a seamless manner. And I'm sure that the engineering strength what we have and the capabilities we are trying to build, especially in terms of the new age technologies of AI, cybersecurity, and these we have not left a stone unturned in terms of what we need to do. First of all, on the AI side, recognizing that we are not proficient fully on AI side, neither are we certified. We followed a three-pronged approach. Number one, we collaborated with IITs to immediately solve some of the problems. Large-scale training has been imparted to our engineers. Around 300 of them have been trained in AI, ML, cybersecurity, and in fact, on on industrial IoT, we spent 2.5 lakhs per engineer and got around 55 of them trained in state-of-art MIT's professional education course on IoT. So while we continue to build the capabilities within, we also procured a very good licensed version of an AI platform where we experiment ourselves and also get the best of industry to solve our problems. So much so that uh, maybe a couple of years ago, when most of these AI use cases were being experimented with, today we are in a stage where around 70% of them have reached fruition. For example, on Rail Madad, when a passenger types a complaint, it used to go 63% of the time it was correctly classified for the first time. But with collaboration with IIT Bombay, now the classification rate has improved to 91%. That means the turnaround time for addressing the customer goes dramatically up. Similarly, collaborating with Bhashini, 23 languages we have translated the interface. He can speak in any language. It translates in the language in which the operator would like to hear, and thereon he'll reply back in the language which the customer wants. So this has gone into production. Waitlist prediction model has improved by around 90%. Our cleanliness onboard housekeeping services on 80 trains. We are now deployed a model in which a photograph is taken by the OBHS staff of the of both the washroom as well as the dustbin and the alley, and it categorizes as good, bad, or medium, and it acts as a measurement of the quality of the contractor. Crowd management based just not only on the PRS and the NTS systems, using UTS data and using ML predictions, we have already deployed, and in certain areas we are already telling on an almost live basis as to how many passengers are boarding and deboarding at different stations, so on and so forth. I mean, similarly on the GST, we took data from the GST or origin, destination, commodity wise, what moves by different modes. Apart from building mere BI, we have collaborated with IIT Delhi and got a clustering model done, which tells you where aggregation centers to come. The, I mean, there are a number of use cases in operations, in finance, in rail and weld failures, which are going on, are at advanced stages. But the experimentation phase is now done. So the expectations from CRIS now are no longer just to use the data for experimenting on AI. Now they need to go into production on in almost every function that we can think of. And this particular seminar theme, what we have envisaged is in this context. Not only governance in the age of AI, when we transform the railway from a manual to a digital to a intelligent system, but how do we, how does the railway itself need to adapt? Number one, how does CRIS need to change its orientation? And what are the lessons we can learn from the industry, academia, and the renowned consultants? So it is with this background that this theme has been organized for the seminar, and I'm sure it's going to be a wonderfully enriching session for all of us. And with these words, I would once again congratulate all of you, and my heartfelt thanks for just being there and running the system and moving the wheels of the nation. Thank you very much. Now I would request Member Operations to speak a few words on this occasion.
Thank you, Satya. Distinguished guests on the dais, uh, my colleagues, DGA, RPF. I am Lucknow Director, AM Traffic, Secretary, Railway Board, additional member Commercial, and I can see many faces, directors of CRIS, senior officers of Railway Board, and the officers and engineers of CRIS. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be amongst you as you celebrate the 40 years of foundation, the formation of CRIS, and as you celebrate the 41st Foundation Day. My journey in the railways is just little old, a few years separated from the birth of CRIS. So CRIS was born in 86 and I joined railways in 90. So as CRIS has grown, our generation in the railways have also grown. And it's indeed really, as a person who has seen the railways grow from strength to strength, it gives me great pleasure to really celebrate the achievements of CRIS. Many of our esteemed seniors who we remember today, they were part of the foundational years of CRIS. And CRIS, you see this campus, this beautiful campus, which is so green, and I really love the way that campus is. That's where people came in 1986, and there was hardly anything there, just maybe a room or two rooms or three rooms. And from that moment in time, see what CRIS is. Really shows that what commitment, what vision, and what hard work can achieve. Whatever is, CRIS today is uh, is because of all the hard work which all of you have put in, all of your predecessors have put in, all the those who were initially in the beginning of CRIS, they have put in. So, as they say, that the foundation of any building, if it is strong, then you can build many stories, um, many, you can add to that. So, I think it really, we all owe it to those who started CRIS, and I would really urge CRIS to make a story of how CRIS evolved. Who were those who started? Who were the pioneers of CRIS? And who started it? So I think if you can write or commission a study on or a history of CRIS, I think that would be also the history of IT on Indian Railways. Because many of us, me, Devendra, Devendra, Deepak. I mean, we were working on various zones. So we were in the yards, we were in the coal fields, we were in the coaching yards, and so on and so forth. While silently, CRIS was evolving, and I did not get a chance to work in CRIS in those foundational years. But I can imagine, for example, as um, as Satya was saying, that uh, to make a simple reservation was such a big challenge. If you are sitting in Delhi and you wanted a reservation from Chennai to some place, a telegram had to go or some message had to go. And then that reservation would take place. I mean, I'm talking when I joined the railways, this was the state of affairs. And today, as you know, that the PRS is one of the biggest IT systems anywhere in the world. So, so that is the testimony of the success of CRIS. And really, and not only, and that's, it started with, of course, PRS, and then the Freight Operation Information System. These are the two core applications of CRIS with which it started on the passenger side and on the freight side. And therefore, today you have any transaction or on the freight side also, whether it is payment of freight or booking or indenting or tracing the the freight trains, everything is digitalized. I don't think that any railways in the world has an in-house competence of the order that Indian Railways has. So we have 500 or maybe more IT professionals, networking professionals, and domain experts. So what makes CRIS so unique is this strength, this harmony, this symphony that you can say of the domain experts coming in from the railways and all the IT and the networking, the software professionals which is there. So this makes CRIS unique, and I think we have to nurture this uniqueness of CRIS. And please remember that during those years, many institutions came like CRIS, for example, CDOT. CDOT is also an example of that time, and successfully, you remember that when we joined the railways or we came into active service, one had to queue to make a trunk call. And then the whole revolution in telecom started. So all these years, the last 40 years have been really defining years for the country as the strength in the railways, the strength of the railways has increased, and so has the revolution in IT, in telecom, and therefore the software revolution. All this has happened in the last 40 years or so. So all of you who are part of CRIS, I really congratulate you from the core of my heart. And as today we stand here, um, so we have seen that we have successfully uh, seen the chartered the last 40 years. But now the next 40 years are going to be very challenging. And this is the AI, this is the AI age, which is in ways it is transformative. It is also disruptive. And this disruption is something that we have to manage. And I'm sure that with the leadership that you've got, Satya and all the team that is there, directors, the officers from the railways, as well as the CRIS professional team, I'm sure that you will work ahead, shoulder to shoulder, and you will also manage this disruption and convert this disruption into an opportunity. So I'm sure that the years ahead will be as exciting and as rewarding as the years that we have just passed. The last 4 decades have been building the CRIS, and now will be the time when we have to take all all the data that is there into intelligence, into proper information, and everything that the new technology now it offers us. That harnessing of technology, that synchronization of all the wealth of data that is there with CRIS, that is the challenge that is there in front of us. And I'm sure that you will rise to the occasion. The CRIS manpower will rise to the occasion, and definitely the next the next decades, the next years of CRIS will be as exciting, as full of achievement as they have been in the past. So today's theme, and there is an excellent panel of speakers ahead of us. So we all look forward to this, to the deliberations, and I can assure Chris and um, all the officers of CRIS and and the IT professionals of CRIS that you will continue to have our full support and full um, uh, backing of the railways, because CRIS is really at the forefront. And I'm also very happy to know that very young professionals are coming into CRIS, and they are the top of the knowledge curve. They are young, they know a lot of the new technologies. So their potential also will be used in the days to come. So I once again wish you a really a great and successful Foundation Day today, and many successes as you embark on a very important and a very exciting journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for not only setting the context, but also laying down the expectations for the next 40 years for CRIS. With this, I would request Professor MP Gupta, Director, IIM Lucknow, to give the keynote address for the seminar, the theme of today's seminar, Governance in the Age of AI.
Good morning to all of you. I'm really honored to be here with you. A day, very auspicious day for CRIS, celebrating 41st year of foundation. This is one rare organization in India which has touched life of each Indian for the last 3 or 4 decades. As Mr. Satya was mentioning about 1986, so I went into memory, my own old memory. Early time, rushing to a window and bearing bad behavior of counterpart that side, to issue a ticket, and then a relief when today we, in our comfort zone, go to website and book a ticket. It's a huge journey, long journey of achievement. I know Chris team since early days. I've been part of Delhi IIT management department, and so we keep receiving engineers from CRIS to be part of some programs at Delhi IIT, as Mr. Satya mentioned about participation. And also he proudly mentioned about no Infosys, no Wipro, no, it's not working. Yeah, no Wipro, no Infosys, no TCS. It's really proud to be say like that. Entire local effort and PRS, freight information system, and also asset management and few more. There are plenty of apps have come from CRIS to give the face of modernity that Indian Railway has got today. Going back to the history of ticketing itself and automation part, I recall the first attempt of automation of ticketing was done by American Airlines in 1960s, early 60s to late 60s. It was a chance meeting between American Airlines chairman, Mr. Smith, and one IBM engineer, again Mr. Smith, happens to be sitting alongside in the flight. And a long journey, it was chance for them to talk each other. A Smith versus Smith, IBM versus American Airline, and this idea of ticketing, took birth. Then the coding scheme was, not really established. I remember ADA used to be early time coding scheme. In my student days, I have used a lot of programming in Fortran, and Fortran still happens to be core of PRS ticketing engine. I'll take water. So IBM used, in fact, they invented a coding scheme then. And subsequently, they revised it to use assembly language. Now think about 60s, 70s, 80s, the coding scheme, the technology of developing the app, and the hardware platform that was prevailing at that point was totally different. Pre-internet technology and post-internet technology, they're all two different dimensions altogether. But cyber system is still in vogue. He was giving data about 35,000 tickets are issued per minute. Cyber system issues 10 lakh tickets per minute in a global operation. So what is the future of CRIS if I apply my small knowledge of CRIS and also cyber and also some examples? Cyber system was internal division of American Airlines. It was a project given to IBM to automate ticketing process. And it brought so much big relief to a process that was so painful. And automation was quick to respond to a requirement. After that, Apollo Airline also took same project. So for a long time, till 80s, the air ticketing The market share was 40, 30, 40, 47, 40, 60 or 6, 50, 50, around the same. So both were sharing almost total market. But Sabre remained dominant player. And it was so a valuable asset to American land, they made it a company. It is, I think, now part of Fortune 500 list of companies. So much wealth is created from that platform. I would like to see, CRIS also having some kind of that future, having its own identity. It's still supporting in railway in a big way, but having its own identity, the corporation. And there are plenty of Indian examples also. ICICI Bank, if you look at history, pre-internet, ICICI Bank and HDFC, two banks are pioneer banks around internet time, mid 90s. They were most forward-looking banks giving service, internet banking service to customers, along with foreign banks were operating in India. ICICI Bank, the IT team was so strong and mature system. Bank thought to make it a company, separate company. So ICICI Infotech to birth. Now I think they have renamed it 3i Infotech. Just check on the net, you will get the details. Now it's a company, apart from servicing ICICI Bank, also doing its own business altogether. Sabre, ICICI Bank, many more. Samsung, LG, many organizations have got their own IT wing to start with, and they were made separate companies. Looking at technology evolution, I think I read somewhere there are 4 grades of automation. Grade 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 means almost uh, entire movement is driverless, but driver is still there. Grade 4 is totally driverless. I've read, I've traveled in Paris metro, uh, totally driverless, entire metro. Some lines are totally driverless, run by expert systems. So adoption of technology is so mature now. Even I I heard Delhi Metro has some track totally run by expert systems. Lucknow Metro is also being planned to adopt that. So referring to AI now, AI is something very special technology. Is going to be as profound, in fact, 10 times, 100 times more profound than what internet when it began and now what it is seen to be in terms of value. It's a learning system, it's an intelligent system. It is going to impact all business processes, all products, all services, every app that you touch on the mobile phone, everything you see, there will be some element of AI in that. What is our readiness? Is the key question. Entire ICT supply chain, if you look at worldwide, still, Mr. Satya, you are using IBM, hardware from other OEMs. Software, if you are developing on the coding scheme on your own, it is a good thing. But most often we see the patent, R&D on hardware and software, all coming from North America, manufactured in China, Taiwan. We are all on the user side. Now, looking at geopolitical situation, the ownership on technology is very, very vital, going to be very, very vital. And that's where our Prime Minister is insisting about Atmanirbhar Bharat. And recent war with Pakistan proved this, with a lot of confidence that now we are also having some capability on technology. Missiles we fire from a place, they're all guided missiles, traveling thousands of kilometers of distance from Tel Aviv to Tehran, and the error is hardly a meter or 4 meters, 3 meters. That's all. So around when it is moving towards the target, it is also able to modulate and adjust and hit the target with lot of precision. So AI, to develop capability in AI, I think AI Impact Summit in last February was something a big initiative. We showcased our strength. Also, we realized our limitations, at least on computing power, because AI requires a lot of computing power. It is about dealing with data, which is humongous, big in size, because around us we see all real-time systems. So real-time systems generate dynamic data that needs to be dynamically processed, and also response systems to be nanosecond. So the kind of algorithm that we need to respond to operate at that level, and also computing power to take care of that demand of computing is hurdle. It requires a lot of investment. Also talent pool. The kind of talent pool, it requires brightest mind of the country to be part of this movement. We need more innovators than job seekers. Jobs anyway is going away. AI is, if you look around news about job, all bad news. So in campuses, we need, to change curriculum so that there is, huge component of uh, innovation, new project ideation, and then hand holding. And probably, student can visualize about their own businesses. So we are making a small effort from Lucknow campus. Typically, IAM system is known for very strong, powerful MBA program. But with changing time, we also realize our response to nation need is to be relooked. And future, today and future is going to be totally technology led. AI digitally is embedded in our life. Everything we do is all the platform is all embedded with digital and AI. They're all foundational part of entire thing. So we decided to launch undergrad program BSc in AI and business analytics. Pair this with 2-year Tech MBA, but together it will be 4 and 1 year. So BS 4 year and then 1 year Tech MBA. But separately it is 4 year and student can exit, and Tech MBA will run separately for 2 years program. In these two programs, we are aiming to create 60 seats, 60 innovators. About governance, I think the theme is governance. AI governance is a very serious issue because just because it's a learning system, what you feed the system will learn and become that. And probably there is a chance of biases as well. So they need to be having a framework in place to keep monitoring data and the learning part and document the biases as well. If it is noticeable, there is some option to correct it. If some harm is happening from the system, there must be some way to bring justice. Who is responsible? Hardware manufacturer, software designer, who? In this scenario, where whatever I have read, IT Act is primarily referred to address all those requirement of from legal part. I don't think it's adequate. It's not really adequate. And there are discussion globally. I mean, nations, leaderships of global leadership is talking about global cooperation and also developing some framework where we can, you know, if something happens here, repercussions is seen to be somewhere else also beyond our continent, and vice versa. So a global cooperation is very, very essential. And that would lead to also tweak a bit our uh, legal framework. See, Data Privacy Act came out of huge pressure that we received from European Union because European Union GDPR made mandatory every country to do have data privacy law in place to do business with European Union. And that compelled us to also frame that. It went through a lot of iterations, but finally we have it now. But looking at future role of Indian Railway in particular in overall economy, transport economy is very, very important, where Indian Railway play a vital role. And I refer to three major programs of Government of India. One is Gati Shakti, second is Sagarmala, and third is 12 industrial smart hubs, industrial corridors. That was announced, I think, 2 years back by the Government of India. The three are all deeply connected and desired to push Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda to ensure that India become a huge manufacturing hub in near future. Gati Shakti is a GIS-based real-time system covering almost all ministry projects, infra projects. There are more than 3,000 spatial data layers who are part of this system. If it is really functioning the way it is projected or visualized, it is a wonderful system. Because a lot of infra projects from waterway to airway to road to rail to airports, they're all connected. And Gati Shakti is supposed to bring some efficiency, also remove all bottlenecks that comes to these projects. The most interesting part is 12 industrial corridors. Mumbai, Delhi is the one most prominent and progressing very fast. 1,400-kilometer freight corridor from Nawaz Jawahar Port to Dadri, this side in Delhi, is required to have dedicated freight corridor. And alongside, I think 50 to 70 kilometer both sides, there will be economic zones will be developed. It's going to be making industry 4.0 idea a reality. Entire corridor will have a lot of factories alongside, based on all high tech that we have. If I refer to Industry 4.0, It is about a factory setting where there is no man in is visible. There is no person there. All machines, all robots, all handlers. Tapani sitting here, seeing him, I recall about Xiaomi, a company now into manufacturing electric vehicle in China. I saw one YouTube video that they are able to assemble one electric vehicle in 70 seconds. So by the time I go from here to board my vehicle, one car is out of the factory. This is the level of automation Chinese setup have achieved. And robots are not flying on the floor, they are flying on the roof. There is a horizontal and vertical, both kind of integration. When you refer to horizontal integration, the factory A and factory B both are connected so deeply. It is virtually one factory. So factory at Gurgaon, factory at Chennai, factory at Guwahati, virtually one factory. So entire corridor from Dadri to Navasavi, 70 kilometers left, right, both sides, all factories, all connected. It is going to give us a scenario of on-demand manufacturing scenario. Today, if any innovator define, thinks about via idea a product and wants to develop a prototype of that, there is a huge struggle because 10 components they're not really available to bring them to one piece. It takes almost sometimes 6 months also to just create a prototype. So Industry 4.0 is about that, and that the ecosystem we intend to achieve by these 12 corridors, smart corridors. So all sensors, AI, robots, simulators will be all uh, seen to be part of it, making it happening. Now, Indian Railway will be very core of it, picking up goods from port and bring to north side and across country because there are 12 corridors. I'm not able to recall, I think Amritsar, Havada, Bangalore, Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, some Odisha, plenty of them. You see us a partner into whatever you do in a modest way from academic side, and I extend complete support on that. In fact, I heard sir is saying about developing case on CRIS. The story of CRIS is very, very. Uh, it's a story to be told to every Indian, and we can do that. I'll stop here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving the perspective starting from, the grade of automation 0 to 4, real-time analytics, streaming data, and coming into the governance in terms of the DPDP, the Privacy Act, and finally rounding it up and saying nothing less than Industry 4.0, which is the way to go for the future. Uh, I thank once again for setting the note, and now I think we'll break for tea, and thereafter we will convene for this regular seminar talks. Thank you.
अच्छा हुआ मेरे मैं I'm free now. I was confused, you know, when I was-
Thank you everyone for joining us for the inaugural session. We shall proceed for tea and we will be back by 11:15 for more innovative insights by all our eminent speakers. So please gather back by 11:15. Thank you.